Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hearties. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and today my wonderful co-host, Theresa, and I will be talking about When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 12, Starry Nights. It was written by Lindsay Sturman and directed by Peter DeLuise. With Elizabeth at his side, Election Day has the entire town supporting Lucas, hoping he will save Hope Valley. Rosemary and Lee discuss who should be their baby's godfather. This was a great finale. What do you think, Theresa?
I thought it was good, but I almost feel like it was better in that it was a really good segue into season 11.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So like not the best finale. Not even the best episode of season 10, but a very good segue into season 11.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I was going to say. It wasn't as good of a finale, but as a regular, maybe mid-season episode. It was very good.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's no season 3 finale, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yep. And the cliffhanger, which we will talk about. I think that is the most intense cliffhanger since season 2. And I think we talked about this in our live.
I think so. Yeah, we have not seen a cliffhanger in years now, and
like this
is a cliffhanger that isn't even like, oh, Charles proposed or whatever. It's a cliffhanger that's like life and death cliffhanger. Like we don't know what happened. We have no clue what happened, and somebody is in danger, and everyone is concerned, and we don't know the outcome. So it's definitely a different cliffhanger than we've gotten in the past, and definitely one of the more intense ones. So I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it.
Yes, me too. Why don't we talk about Mike and May and Fiona and Faith a little bit to start off this episode?
I like how they're all kind of like all the three gals are all kind of involved in all of it, and I like Hickam and May. They're cute. I think I like how his confidence is starting to kick in, and I actually was happy they had a little bit of a disagreement because it shows that they can overcome that, and it's good for them to, kind of go through the different phases and not all just be like, oh, happy go lucky. Like there's actually some angst there, but they worked through it, and I liked that.
I did too. I love when she offers to help him carry the supplies when he's walking from, I think, the Mercantile to the Queen of Hearts.
Yes, that was cute.
And they agreed to go on a date, and Mike's reaction, he was like,
yeah. He's like, nailed it.
Yes. Nailed it. Oh my goodness. And of course, we just talked a little bit about the angst, and the angst came in when Mike got busy at the Queen of Hearts because he gave all of the staff the day off to vote. So it was just him working the Queen of Hearts, and he just got sidetracked and accidentally forgot. I kind of felt bad for May, but then I felt bad for Mike as well.
Yeah. I felt bad for both of them, and I was a little disappointed we didn't get to go see them on their date to go gather clay for the face mask. I think that would have been super cute.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we'll see more dates next season.
Yes.
I think that it's interesting to see Mike in this role as being in charge of the saloon, and it shows what big shoes Lucas left. It is interesting to me that they're having so many customers still, like even though they're still having problems with the hot springs, and I think it's an interesting disagreement, and I wanted to see the date, but I'm okay with the way it turned out.
Yeah. Same. I thought it was funny when Lee and Bill walk in and they're talking to him, and Bill's like, it's never a good idea to keep a lady waiting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he would know. He would know.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
he and Lee offer to help at the saloon, and Mike's like, thank you so much, as he gives him his bags.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. In the next scene, we hear that Fiona has sworn off meddling, and she doesn't want to get involved again because it never works. And Mike is like, please help. I need help. I don't know how to do this.
He's like, please meddle.
Yes, please meddle.
Yeah. I
And
think
they walk
it's,
away.
yeah.
And Lee and Bill's reaction, they're like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say I admire Fiona's, you know, she wants to not
Yeah.
get involved,
Mm-hmm.
but Mike kind of needs it at this point. But
Yeah,
I do think at some point he is going to have to figure it out for
I
himself
think so too.
if he wants
Yeah.
this relationship to work out. If he wants it to work
Yeah.
out, they're not always going to have Fiona there to kind of be the referee and,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, his mentor. So I do think he's going to have to figure it out at some point. But
Yeah.
I thought it was funny for this moment for sure.
Yes, I did too. And we get to the last scene with them at the Queen of Hearts. May is talking with Fiona and Faith. They're encouraging her to just tell Mike how she feels. She goes up to talk to him. He goes up to talk to her, and they literally are talking at the same time. And they're like, I like you. And then Mike's saying, your voice is my favorite sound. That was so cute.
That was cute. And I
Yeah.
felt like it tied into their whole, initial storyline of being in a duet together and,
Yeah.
her singing voice being beautiful. So I
Yes.
think that was a nice
And then
little
they dance.
tie in there. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was sweet.
Fiona and Faith's talk when they are talking about meddling. Faith says, so maybe your meddling wasn't so bad after all. Fiona isn't sure. I think I know why I do it, meddle so much. And Faith says, so you don't have to worry about your own love life. That was a perfect setup for Fiona for
Yes,
next
yes.
season.
And I felt like this particular moment between Faith and Fiona was
Yeah.
actually the most important
Yeah.
moment of that storyline. The
Yeah.
whole May, Hickam, Faith,
Yes.
Fiona thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's very important because it's setting up for season 11.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Fiona take this role of matchmaking. It's
Mm-hmm.
funny, it's humorous, but we've never seen Fiona really commit to a relationship.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to explore why. And we know she's been engaged before
Mm-hmm.
and that broke that off. We know things haven't worked out with her with a few other people like
Yeah.
Kevin the blacksmith,
Blacksmith.
or
Yep.
her and Hickam and
Yeah.
Arthur Gilchrist back in season
Yeah.
9, that they never really started anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do think she is going to find love,
Mm-hmm.
or at least open herself up to it
Mm-hmm.
next season.
Yeah.
With who, we don't quite know yet. I mean, I have some ideas, but
Lucas.
I
Yeah.
mean, either Lucas or I don't know, maybe we will see. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah. I personally I don't want to just assume that it'll be Lucas because
I
you
understand that.
never know,
Yeah.
and I'm also kind of on board with the idea of possibly Jeanette coming to town and something happening there with Lucas and Jeanette, but that's just
Yeah.
me. I also would love him and Fiona together too.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be
yeah.
opposed to either one.
Yes,
I think
yes.
either would be great options.
Yes, for sure.
Going into some of our other favorite characters, Lee and Rosemary, Henry and the Canfields. That
Mhm.
scene at home with Goldie when they're talking about the baptism and how she's going to be baptized in the same dress that Rosemary was. And then, of course, they go in talking about who should be the godfather. Lee suggests Henry, and Rosemary's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, given their history with
Yes.
Henry, I kind of see where Rosemary's coming from.
Yeah.
If you rewatch earlier seasons, Henry and Lee do not get along. Henry and Rosemary don't get along. Nobody gets along with Henry, basically. And Henry is kind of a menace to society in the earlier seasons. So this is a huge, huge change. And the fact that they are trusting their daughter's potential spiritual upbringing to Henry is a huge deal. It shows how far he's come. It shows how they feel about him. It's a big thing, and I can kind of see why Rosemary's a little hesitant about it, but it's very, very interesting.
Yes. And before I move on to my favorite line in that scene, I have to ask, because I found this interesting. This was kind of my wait, what of the episode. Lee mentions that the baptism is on Sunday, which means that the election was on Sunday too. Elections usually aren't on a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little confusing. It's more than a little confusing. It's a lot confusing.
It's different in Canada. I don't know how their elections work.
I during that time period, I highly doubt it. Not much went on Sundays back in the day, so a little confusing there. Yeah, it's definitely a little confusing, and I see where you're coming from there.
I was like, okay,
yeah,
the election is on a Sunday. All right,
yeah.
But other than that, it was a great scene.
Right.
My favorite line of this scene is when Rosemary says, maybe he needs Goldie just as much as she needs him.
That was sweet. Yeah.
Yes. And then Lee asking Henry to be the godfather. That was, I'm not going to lie, that got me a little teary-eyed.
Yeah. That was super sweet.
Yeah. Henry isn't sure that he's qualified, of course, and thinks that there's a better choice. Lee says, Rosie and I wouldn't ask you to help us raise our little girl if we didn't know in our hearts that you were the right man for the job. So please just promise me you'll think about it.
Yeah. That was very sweet.
Yeah. And we got to see Henry laugh again, which I loved.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime we see Henry laugh, it's a good moment.
Yeah. I love when Lee walks up and he's just trying to figure out how to say it, and Henry just starts cracking up.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my goodness. The porch conversation with Elizabeth, I think that was one of my favorite scenes in the episode.
Yeah. I think I really liked it. It was beautiful. Yeah. You had the stars.
Starry night.
It was a beautiful scene. Lots of amazing things going on.
Yeah.
My one drawback about that scene is that Elizabeth did not apologize for being defensive in the stable scene a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
She didn't really apologize for it. And I was kind of like,
yeah, she did say you were honest and you were trying to help. But she still didn't apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
I can see, yeah.
I love Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She's great. But Elizabeth sometimes just does not apologize for things.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like she needs to apologize for everything, but this particular case, I feel like she should have, because the scene in the stables, it reminded me very much of that scene between Rosemary and Elizabeth back in season 8, when Rosemary came in and said, "Oh, I talked to Nathan in the library, blah blah blah."
Yeah,
and Elizabeth was like, "Oh, how could you know what's best for me? How does anyone know?" And it kind of was like a defensive moment. And eventually Elizabeth does apologize for that. That scene would have been really great to me if she had apologized. But I mean, she's it's fine.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
fine. I would have liked a little bit more
Yeah.
remorse from her, but
I agree.
she's not in a great place right now. So,
Yeah, it's understandable, but
understandable.
I do agree. I love when she says, truth is, you're always trying to save people. And then, he asks, you know, what have I done to save people? Something along those lines. And she says, the saloon fire, the derrick fire, the mine. Henry, I think you mean that I blow things up. We all blow things up every once in a while, don't we? And then this is my favorite line in the scene. When you forgive someone, we find peace. It's an act of grace. If they've forgiven you, let them. You owe it to them and you owe it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. That was a good line.
Yes.
And he should forgive himself. I do feel like it's something he's never fully going to get over, and I'm glad they're pointing that out because it is something that's probably going to haunt him forever.
For the
It's
rest
not
of his
something
life.
that
Yeah.
it's not something he's just going to forget about and never talk about again, which I'm glad they're acknowledging that. I do think that there might be someone who could help him to get over that, but we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Yes.
But yeah, I think there's a key to this problem.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten there yet. So
we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Yes. We will in just a few minutes.
Yes.
I have to mention the brief scene with Minnie and Joseph when she is being supportive about him writing his sermon for the baptism. And then the baptism, him giving the sermon, and the choir singing This Little Light of Mine. That was very sweet. I loved the baptism scene. Beautiful.
Yes, that was really beautiful for sure. And I liked that they were singing This Little Light of Mine.
Yes.
It's kind of a callback to earlier this season during the camping trip when you had Angela singing it and Joseph and Nathan and Allie. Almost like Angela was like breaking out of her shell to be able to sing that on the ukulele, and now she's singing it for the entire congregation, which was
I loved
a great moment. Yes.
Yeah. Also, Minnie's little silent pep talk to Joseph when he has the paper in his hand and she's like,
got the paper. She's like, no.
You don't need that.
Yeah.
And then,
that was perfect.
Yeah. Little Jack sitting with Nathan and Allie, the shot of Molly and Rosaline, and then at the very end, the brief little moment with the Coulters.
Yeah. I am hoping that Rosaline being there means that she will be a series regular from now on.
I hope so. We need more Rosaline.
That's my hope. That's my hope because I love Rosaline. I loved her in this season. I would love to see more of her.
Same.
I thought the last shot with the Coulters was super cute. The three of them all together.
My heart just melted into a puddle.
So cute. Yeah. And then of course the shot of Nathan with little Jack and Allie.
That was adorable.
Super cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of good things going on.
Yes. We have arrived to the scene we just talked about briefly. Henry's second conversation with Elizabeth. This scene.
We knew it was coming all season. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And then it finally came and I was just like, yeah. I mean, he's got Abigail's place right across the street, as he mentions. And
when this scene was playing, I was like, I called it. I called it.
Yes. I thought it was going to be a little more closely related to Elizabeth's situation.
I did too. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be tied in a little bit more, but it was more about Henry. And I mentioned this to you before we started recording.
Yeah.
It really felt like this finale was about Henry mostly. Yeah. So Henry was kind of the main character of this finale.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me that this entire scene and the entire scene on Elizabeth's front porch, even, they were both about him. And he's just talking about Abigail. And he hasn't really talked too much about her this season up until now.
Yeah.
And now we see like why he's not able to, move past it. Because everyone can do anything they can to help Henry forget. They can give him projects. Joseph can give him guidance. Elizabeth can give him advice and encourage him to forgive and get forgiveness from Rosaline. It doesn't matter, because all of that has helped Henry to be a great person, but the only person who can truly help Henry to achieve that final step in redemption is Abigail. I mean, she's like she's got the key to his, his redemption, his heart. And I think that this him talking about her really showed that he's missing her in his life in more ways than one, not just in a romantic sense, but in a, he needs her in his life to help guide him. She's like his guiding light, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. And I'll never forget the scene in season 4. I think it was in the finale when Bill is, helping the Mounties take Gowan, because I think that was when he was about to go off to jail. And Abigail finds out that Henry stayed because of Cody. That scene.
Yeah. She kissed him on the cheek in that scene.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, that's when you know there's something there. Yeah.
That was a great scene. Great moment.
Yes, it was, for sure. That was kind of they've always had kind of this like push pull, like this end game type feel to them. And that was kind of when it started to kick into gears a little bit. And I think that she is a huge reason why he changed at all. Because, she was always rooting for him, even when he was horrible to her. And now it's all starting to pay off. And he's missing her because she was his biggest cheerleader.
Yes, agreed. I think I'm Team Henry Gale.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I loved Frank and Abigail.
I did too.
But I will say, I like the idea of Henry and Abigail.
I think they would have a great dynamic if Lori came back to the show.
Yes, I agree.
Going forward,
and I'm hoping that that's in the cards.
Yes, same. And I loved Elizabeth's line to Henry when she says, I think she would really appreciate who you are now.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Yes. And Henry goes to see Abigail.
Okay, this scene was definitely like, forget the cliffhanger, forget everything. This scene was the most shocking of the episode, because when Henry drove up to the picket fence, I was like, oh, they're doing it. And then I see
the name on the mailbox.
I see the name A. Stanton on the mailbox. I'm like, oh, what? And then the door opens and Henry's like, Abigail. I'm just like, oh. I was freaking out at that point. I mean, sure, I freaked out for the cliffhanger too, but not like this. This was like, whoa, they just did that.
Yes. This was my exact reaction.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I don't think
my family didn't quite understand it, but I did. And so when I saw it, I was like, and they were all like, what are you freaking out about? I'm like, he went to go see Abigail.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if it was this season, but after the finale aired, I know that my dad said, they're bringing Abigail back. And I was like, God. I don't know. I'm not sure because of everything. But no, he's like, they're bringing her back.
I mean, I hope he's correct, because I would love that.
Yeah.
I know there are mixed feelings about her coming back. I know some people are like, oh, it would change the dynamic of the show. And, the show has moved on.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm like, I feel like I love Rosemary and Elizabeth together, but I do feel like Abigail grounds Elizabeth in a way that Rosemary does not. I feel like
I know what you're
Abigail is
saying.
able to ground Elizabeth
Yeah.
and the entire community for that matter. But,
Yeah.
you know, I
Agreed.
I feel like
Yeah.
this season Rosemary was very caught up in a lot of
The
things
wedding
going on
planning,
and wedding planning,
the
political
birth.
stuff, the birth, the newspaper.
Yeah.
So she wasn't really emotionally available for
Yeah.
Elizabeth all the time. And I feel like if Abigail had been here, it would have gone a lot more smoothly. And I
Yeah.
almost feel like the role of like the listening ear and, you know, the giving advice and everything has gone to somebody else right now,
Yeah.
but uh, to Nathan specifically. But
Yeah.
that's complicated too. So I feel like if
Yeah.
Abigail was there, it would just be, you know,
Yeah.
it would have helped Elizabeth to navigate those waters a little more smoothly. No hate to
Yes.
Rosemary. Rosemary had a
No.
lot going on this
Of
season.
course not.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally not her fault.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And Rosemary is a great friend to Elizabeth. I love their dynamic and friendship.
Yes. Yes.
And speaking of Elizabeth, why don't we just talk about her as well as Lucas and the election, Nathan, and the few scenes with Bill?
Yes. Let's do it.
I have to say, just starting off, we get another journal entry from Elizabeth, which I loved. She says, 3 weeks have passed since that night on the train platform. There are reminders of Lucas everywhere and of how he stood up for Hope Valley and how he's bravely taking on those who want to destroy our town. It hasn't been easy, but as hard as it was to say goodbye to Lucas, for me and for little Jack, there are also reminders of why we had to stay. And then, the journal entry ends and we see a clip of Elizabeth, little Jack, and Rosemary, Goldie, and Robert. And Robert is taking little Jack to see the tadpoles. That was adorable.
Yes, yes, that was really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth and Rosemary have a conversation about working the polls, and Rosemary asks how Elizabeth is feeling. She says she's sad, but doing okay, and that it makes it much easier knowing she's coming home to little Jack, as well as her, Lee, and Goldie.
Yes. I mean, ultimately, their
Yeah.
family, Lee and Rosemary and Goldie,
Yes.
they're basically Elizabeth's family. So
Yeah.
her staying in Hope Valley, and even in the row house, as we explored a little earlier, it's less about the actual location and more
Yeah.
about the people that are surrounding it. So her getting reminders of why she should stay, they just exist from Rosemary and Lee and being close to them and being able to have their children growing up together and support
Yeah.
each other. So that was a
Yes.
nice moment there.
Yes. Okay. This scene has been talked about a little bit. The moment in the schoolhouse with Elizabeth and her students. What were your thoughts on this?
I'm not gonna lie. I did not
Be
like
completely
it.
honest. Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was kind of like, these kids, I'm sure they hear their parents talk about the politics that are going on. And if they listen to their parents, what they would have known is that Lucas left to save the town.
Yes.
Like, he's making a huge sacrifice for the community. So it doesn't really matter what happened between he and Elizabeth. To me, it's like they should at least be aware that he is literally saving the town. Like, if it weren't for him, they might not be going to school there anymore, and they might not be living there, just like they were all afraid to move away way back in season 1 when they were about to be evicted. They could potentially have to leave if Lucas didn't do what he did. So I didn't love it. I also didn't love that Elizabeth didn't explain to them that she was the one who
that's
broke
the
up with
thing that
him.
bothered me about the scene.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I get that they're defensive, I get it. I would probably feel the same way if I was a kid about my teacher, but if she explained it in a way that she was actually the one who broke up with him, I think it would be much easier for them to just kind of, not even worry about liking Lucas or not,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm with you. I wasn't a fan
Yeah.
of yeah.
I will say initially I liked the scene, but then after I kind of thought about it for a little while, I took the night to think about it. I came to
Yeah.
the same conclusion.
Yeah. I gotta say, even watching live, it was a little bit rough for me. I was watching, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not for that specific reason,
Yeah.
more for the kids should know that Lucas is, doing a
Yeah.
lot for the town right now, and less for the fact, because I didn't pick up on the fact that she didn't actually explain to them that she was the
Yeah.
one that broke up with them. But that's a valid point as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, right off the bat, I was kind of like,
Yeah. I did appreciate that she stood up for Lucas, but I just didn't like the fact that she didn't explain herself about the breakup.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad Cooper at least was still
Yes,
like, oh,
me
I
too.
like Mr. Bouchard. Yeah.
Also, did you notice Allie's facial expression?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, she's kind of like, hmm. I
What's going
think
on there?
the gears are moving a little bit. Yeah.
I can't wait for her to find out if
Oh,
she
yeah.
hasn't already figured
Yeah.
it out.
I mean,
Just briefly, I have to mention the comedic moment with Bill and Nathan at the livery when
mhm.
Nathan is telling him that he is going to Benson Hills to catch some Pinkertons, and Bill is like, I'm coming with you. And Nathan's like, why? And Bill's like, the last time you got mixed up with Pinkertons, I had to come to your rescue anyway. I had that handled. Of course you did.
I'm kind of with Bill on this one.
Of
he
course
did
you did.
not have that handled.
I mean, he
But
did, but he didn't.
I don't know. But
Partly handled.
partially handled. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say it's always sweet when Bill looks out for,
Nathan
the
in the
Nathan, but
town.
also Jack, and
Yeah.
he could see that, Nathan's going through a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
emotions because he knows that Lucas and Elizabeth
Yes.
broke up.
Yes.
He knows that there's a lot going on right now, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of keeping to himself about it. And
Yeah.
I liked how Bill kind of was like able to perceive that and, take initiative and say, oh, yeah, like basically he's like, I don't care if we talk about it. I don't care about any of that. You just, you should have someone with you right now
Yeah.
because it's, because Elizabeth has Rosemary,
Mm-hmm.
but Nathan doesn't have a
Yeah.
Rosemary in
Yeah.
his corner. So,
Yeah.
because Elizabeth is his best friend, basically.
Yes. Pretty much.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I liked how Bill kind of was taking the initiative there.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Before we get to the brief Mountie work scene with Nathan and Bill, I have to mention the scenes in town with Elizabeth and Rosemary when they're seeing all the posters of Lucas. And Rosemary mentions the bust the ballot box for Bouchard committee, the BTBFB.
Yes.
That's a lot of B words.
It is. Yes. It is.
Oh my goodness. And side note, Mike's wave to Goldie. Did you notice that?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
He's like,
Aw.
that
So
was really
cute.
cute.
Yeah.
And then it continues when they start to walk by the Mountie office, and Elizabeth is saying she just wants everyone to forget what tomorrow is supposed to be, and brings up again how she's fine. She's not fine.
No. I don't think
But
I
she
don't
does feel at
think
peace.
yeah, She feels at peace, which is important because when you feel at peace about a decision, it means it was the right decision. Yes. So her feeling at peace is a big thing. But she's still not fine because she still needs to deal with the fallout of that. She still needs to, her breaking up with Lucas inevitably means that she's going to have to confront these emotions that she was feeling before it happened. And she's just not ready. Like, she's not in a place yet where she's quite ready to do that, but she's starting to. And I think it's just it's going to be a very long process for her. It's going to be a very long process for her to work through all of that and sort through it all and figure out exactly what she's feeling. But obviously, she's not the only one who's not fine. She's not fine. Lucas is probably not fine. We didn't really get to see much of what he's what's going on in his head.
We saw that one scene with him.
We saw, like 2 scenes in this episode with him. Yeah, but only one of them dealt with Elizabeth, and he I'm sure he's still going through it as well. And then Nathan's not fine either because he's trying to keep busy, trying to, stay out of the way and avoid the problem. And, it's just no one's fine right now. They all need to like kind of just work through what's going on. So,
yes. Also, Rosemary noticing Elizabeth's facial expression when they are right outside the Mountie office.
Yeah. It's, I think she's kind of, she brings up the disagreement that she and Nathan had. She does,
and Rosemary says Nathan might have a point, I think, were her words. Yeah.
Which he does. He does. What's interesting is I didn't even see it as a disagreement so much, more as that she was in a desperate, tight place and she didn't have an answer for him, and he got he just got hurt again. Like, by the fact that she's not willing to, see what she's actually wants. And I didn't see it as much as a disagreement as just they weren't seeing eye to eye. But I don't know. What's your take on that?
Same.
Yeah.
As you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really see it as a disagreement. She just wasn't ready to answer those questions he was asking her.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we mentioned that last week.
Yeah. She wasn't ready to do that. She did eventually become ready to do it, but she wasn't ready at that point.
Yeah.
And that upset him because when you see someone in that you care about in that situation where they're giving up what they want and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting and frustrating, and there's nothing you can do, which is hard for both sides. And so I didn't see it as a disagreement. Clearly Elizabeth did, but I think she just I don't know. I think they'll work through it eventually.
I think so too. The Mountie work with Nathan and Bill in the woods. They are talking about, I believe, the injunction and Montague and Balfour. And then they go on talking about Allie, who is staying with the Canfields yet again. And Nathan is like, I think she'd move in with them if she had her druthers, taking little Jack with her. And Bill wants to know if he has seen Elizabeth. Nathan is who I'm referring to, of course. And then Nathan asks about Madeline. And Bill's like, life of a bachelor for me. Nathan, life of a father for me. Not exactly the same.
Yeah, I love their banter and
their dynamic. Yeah,
their dynamic's great. I felt you could feel Bill's like he cares about Nathan. He's concerned about Nathan, and and I think he knows that Nathan still might. He's still hurt. He still might have feelings for Elizabeth. He's heard Nathan say once or twice during the season that it's hard for him to have regrets. He mentioned that in, I forget which episode it was. I think it was episode 6. But Nathan says, yeah, the worst feeling of all is the feeling of missing out.
Yeah.
And now that Elizabeth has broken up with Lucas and is single again, that's a complicated place for Nathan because he feels like he missed out, but now it almost appears as if he has another chance.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that for sure. And that's a complicated place to be. I think Bill knows that. And it's nice to see them checking in. Also, I felt like Bill's line about, life of a bachelor for me, and Nathan saying life of a father for me, and Bill responding with, it's not exactly the same. I think in a way, with that line, he's kind of, pushing Nathan to consider more options than just being a bachelor,
Yes.
Like, almost like he's like, no, Nathan, you're not doing what I'm doing, basically.
Yes. Agree. Yeah. The phone conversation with Lucas and Elizabeth, that was a great scene.
It was, yes. And I know that scene's probably hard for some Lucas fans just because I'm sure it's hard to see, the couple that you wanted, like, moving on so easily, I guess, if that makes any sense. But at the same time, keep in mind when you see this that the fact that they are both at peace with it and they both are like figuring things out as a result means that it's the right thing for both of them. Lucas says he found his calling, which is great.
Yes.
Which is great. I think he's been looking for that all this time, and it's perfect for him. Yeah, and it's not even the power or the fame or anything. It's the helping people that
he
is
wants
his
to help
calling.
people.
Yeah, so I think that was a good scene for him.
Yeah.
The first time Lucas has talked about a calling really that he's been satisfied with, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I think so too. This scene kind of made me chuckle a little bit, and I have a question that I'm going to ask in a second, but Rosemary's talk at the Queen of Hearts with Ned about the buttons and how the support of Lucas is going. He is neck and neck in the polls with Balfour and has full endorsements from the Beagle and the Beetle. And then Mike comes up and he's like, Elizabeth doesn't need to be here. We can find an easy job for her, one without so many references to you-know-who. And, Elizabeth is behind them with the radio, trying to fix the volume or get the signal. And she comes up and she's like, Lucas? And then, she tells him she's fine. And, okay, here's my question. Did she not tell everyone in town that she broke up with him? I'm confused.
Part of me is like, is this just a Mike thing? Or is this everybody thinks that Lucas broke up with her?
Yeah, that was my question. That's what I was
What
trying to
in the world? What in the world? Okay, I went to a very small college, and whenever a couple would break up, everyone knew who broke up with who. Everybody knew. So everyone knew who to check in on and everything like that. Here, it does not seem the case. Nobody knows what happened except for Rosemary. And I don't know. I feel like Elizabeth should do a little bit of explaining here.
Yeah, I wonder if Bill knows.
I have no idea.
Like what actually happened. I don't know.
I'm sure Bill does.
Bill might, yeah.
He might.
He's very intuitive.
At the same time, yeah. But if Mike doesn't know and the kids don't know, it's clear that Nathan doesn't know either. So that's probably adds to the fact that he's avoiding Elizabeth, is the fact that he doesn't know what happened.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I'm like, how does he not know? Because she didn't go with Lucas. So
Well, here's the thing. He could actually be of the belief that maybe Lucas broke up with her. Maybe he thinks that.
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
It could
Yeah.
be that way.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. At this point, it seems like not a lot of people actually know what happened, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah,
They
she
need to
needs to
actually
come clean.
explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elizabeth needs to come clean.
Yeah. I think she will next season, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to find out how everyone is going to
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah. It may not even be her. It may even be Lucas explaining the situation.
Yeah, it
We
could.
have no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Also, I think we talked about this a little bit in the live the other night, but I
Mhm.
enjoyed Lucas's speech that we heard as well.
Yes. Yes. It was I would have liked to see him actually giving it, not just over the
Yes.
radio, but I did like the speech. It was very quick, very zany.
Yeah.
Um it had a lot of like his spark of energy in there, and I
Yeah.
liked that.
Yeah.
So,
All of the scenes with Elizabeth, Rosemary, Mike, and Bill in Bill's office with the voting. Here's another question before we get into more of this. How many people are actually in Hope Valley? Because, wow,
are we ever going to know? I don't know.
people came out in droves. I was like, how many people actually live here?
I have no clue. I have no idea, but it was a lot of people. A lot
Yes.
of people.
Elizabeth and Rosemary deciding to use the curtains from the ball to make more voting booths. And then the third scene when Mike is there as well, and they're talking about how everyone but 22 people have voted, and Rosemary's like, you'd be surprised what a stern talking to by yours truly can accomplish.
I will say I thought this was funny and perfect for Rosemary.
Yeah.
I do think I think there were a few scenes in this episode
Mm-hmm.
that were cut back on account of
Yes.
so much time being given to
Mm-hmm.
this. And
Yeah.
I feel like they could have cut back a little bit on the
Yeah.
election stuff.
I
Not even
did too.
the Lucas
Yeah.
stuff, but a lot of the voting stuff. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
we know how to vote. We're Americans.
Yeah.
We know how to vote.
Yes.
And it's just I don't know. I was like, I don't need this in here. I don't need
Yeah.
all of this. I could use a few funny scenes, but there was a lot of focus on this.
Yeah.
And there were other scenes throughout the episode that were cut short. Like the scene between Nathan and Bill in the woods, I could tell that one was cut short.
Yeah, I could
There
tell.
were a few coming up that we're about to talk about that were cut
Yeah.
short, and I know that for a fact
Yes.
because of things people have said,
Yeah.
cast and crew,
Yeah.
that I feel like could have used a little more,
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
But I did find these scenes funny. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
like they were very
Yeah.
long, and they took up a lot of the episode.
Yeah. I do think at least with these couple scenes that we're talking about now, the first one with Elizabeth, Rosemary, Bill, and Mike could have been
Yeah.
cut. I
Yeah.
didn't really think we needed that one, but the curtain scene was funny. And then the one I
Mhm.
just mentioned. And I also think the scene after the one where Florence, Molly, and Rosemary are trying to get everyone to vote, when Elizabeth walks in the Mountie office and sees Scout, that probably could have been cut too. Because that
Yeah.
was
I
only
mean,
like 5 seconds, maybe 5-10
yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. I it
It was
didn't
cute,
It
but
was cute. It was cute to be sure, but the fact that we have not seen a whole lot of Nathan and
yeah,
Scout's relationship in the second
yeah,
half of the season. So, we haven't seen their relationship grow.
yeah,
We haven't seen them arrive at a place where
yeah,
Scout actually misses Nathan up until
mm-hmm,
now. We've just seen Scout like being disobedient to Nathan most
yeah,
of the time. So, for him to suddenly start missing Nathan, it just felt like a little bit like, oh, we didn't see that happen,
yeah,
but so I'm with you. They could have cut
yeah,
that scene. I
yeah.
liked it, but they could have cut it. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Okay, this scene, I kind of wish we had not seen it before the episode. Nathan and Elizabeth
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
voting booth.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great scene. I just wish we hadn't seen it before.
The thing is, I might be a little bit ahead of everyone else, but I actually saw the entire scene, not just the up to the point where he says Elizabeth. I actually saw the entire thing before the episode aired. And so I already knew he was just gonna say goodnight at the end of the scene. And I was a little bit
I was kind of
frustrated. I
disappointed.
was like, come on! But at the same time, you know, it was still great, showed their
Yeah.
chemistry. There was their looks between each other
I
were
could
supposed
feel
to
the tension and the sparks.
it was great. And actually it was supposed to be a little bit longer
It was. I think I
originally.
heard Kevin say that.
Yeah, Kevin said it was cut short a little bit, but it was supposed to be even longer, which I would have been totally in for. But that's fine. It was a good scene. Yeah.
They could have cut
I know.
The scene with Scout and Elizabeth and
yeah, I know. They could have totally cut that scene.
Or the voting scene that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. Really?
Yeah, it's like, come on, give us the real stuff. Yeah,
you're gonna end it with good night. Come on.
Yeah, I was slightly frustrated. I'm like, come on, guys. But I do like that. In this scene, you can kind of see how Elizabeth regards Nathan, which is, you know, he feels like he overstepped. He feels bad for that. He apologizes to her. He doesn't even like try to make any excuse about like why he's been avoiding her or anything like that. He just gets right into it and says, I'm sorry, you know, I should have not overstepped and that wasn't my right. But Elizabeth's okay with it. She says she appreciates what he said, and I think that shows how much she values
I'm glad she
his
said
friendship. Yeah, it shows how much she values his friendship and his opinion, and how he actually did help her a lot. And even Erin said this too, is that conversation between them was pivotal to her making her decision to stay. Not exactly, it didn't like cause her to break up with Lucas, but it caused her to actually take stock of what she wanted. And
that's true. Yeah.
Nathan was the only person to actually, you know, tell that to her.
Yeah.
So it was a big moment. And because of that, I think that they know they're in a place where it's very uncertain right now. Elizabeth's not with Lucas anymore. Nathan still has feelings, even if I don't know if he fully knows that he does yet. I think she's starting to have feelings for him, or has had feelings for him, but doesn't quite know it yet, and just hasn't explored what's going on emotionally. So I think that they're both just in this very like, you know, lots of emotional turmoil going on.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This moment was very brief, but it melted my heart. Little Jack wearing his dad's hat.
Yes, that was so cute. I loved that.
Oh my gosh.
That was
adorable. Everyone hearing the election results. Lucas won, as we all thought he would.
Yes. My dad cheered out loud when that happened because he really likes Lucas. So when he heard that Lucas won the election, he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my dad is never really that invested in this show, but you know.
That's awesome.
It's always funny when they get him going.
Yeah. And by a margin of 21 votes.
Probably a good thing that Rosemary went and got all those 22 votes that still hadn't voted.
Yes. And Elizabeth seeing Allie dancing with little Jack. That was really sweet.
Yes.
Madeline showing up. For a split second, I'm not going to lie, I actually did think it was Abigail.
Oh!
Coming in the door.
Gosh. Oh, wow. I mean, I didn't think that. I knew it was going to be
for a
Madeline,
split second.
But yeah, but that would have been crazy.
But yeah, what did you think about this scene with Madeline?
It went about as I expected it was going to. I was a little disappointed we didn't get a goodbye between Bill and Jamie. especially since. Go ahead.
Actually, I think they're going to be in next season.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Because I was kind of like, you can't leave it there. You had all season. So,
I'll
I'm
pull
glad.
up the screenshot of the article right now.
Yeah. Well, if they're back, I'll be glad
Yeah.
because this didn't feel like a very satisfying ending for them. If
Yeah.
that's how it's going to end, which I don't think it is.
No. Yeah.
I do think that we might still have some things in store for them.
Yes.
So if this is not the end, then great.
I'm
If it's
glad.
if it's the end, kind of disappointing. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it's the end. So
I think this is from tvfanatic.com. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because this was a screenshot from one of my group chats. And about Bill, it says, meanwhile, Bill Avery's budding romance with Madeline St. John promises to deepen, captivating viewers with its intriguing development.
Okay.
Fans eagerly await the unfolding of these captivating storylines in the upcoming season. And it mentions a couple other things in the screenshot that I got, but I'll leave those out since we're not talking about anyone else.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah.
I'm excited to see them back.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I know the actress was on strike with the strikers, but if they're back, I will not complain. I really like Jamie. I would hate to kind of start at square one with Bill with his romance all over again because we've done that like 5 million times already. So
like how many seasons?
Well, we had Abigail, we had Dottie Ramsey, we had Molly, we had Madeline, we had Nora, we had AJ Foster. Yeah.
Let's see.
There were a lot of women in Bill's life. So I would hate to kind of just start over again, but I'm hoping Madeline sticks around.
Yes. Same. Lucas leaves the office in Capital City, and then someone in a car shows up and puts their headlights on him, and he's like, what are you doing here? And then it cuts to the next scene. Dun, dun, dun.
Here's the thing I noticed about this scene is that Lucas does not look scared. He just looks frustrated.
No. So if he doesn't look scared, I'm wondering if he's actually going to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they're calling Elizabeth and Nathan and Bill back to town so suddenly, I'm assuming, he probably does get hurt in some way.
Or kidnapped.
Maybe, it could be. But I do think that he probably is going to get hurt somehow, but I don't think this is who we think it is. Meaning Montague or the governor. I don't think it's either of them.
It's not, according to Lindsay's part 1 interview with Heart to Hearties, I believe.
Yeah.
She said that it's going to be someone from his past, not Montague or Balfour or any of their men.
Yeah. I personally, I have 2 theories. One, it could be Amos Dixon from
I've thought that.
6.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Or it could be Jeanette. That we haven't met Jeanette yet, but the last time we heard from Jeanette was when she ghosted Lucas after working with him to kidnap Wyman Walden.
Yes,
so
that's right. Yeah,
I think it could be Jeanette, and it would explain why Lucas is feeling so frustrated. Because last time they talked, it was not happy.
Not good. My dad brought up an interesting point today that I mentioned the whole thing about it could be Amos Dixon, and he said that the governor could have looked into Lucas's past and found Amos Dixon to go after him.
That's interesting. I just thought of another person who it could be as well. It could also be Jerome Smith.
Oh, that's good. I didn't even think about Jerome.
Yeah, I didn't think of Jerome either until right now. But what if Jerome just found out that Lucas forged or lied about the letter that he pretended to receive from the mining inspector? And what if Jerome Smith tries to use that as some kind of like blackmail or smearing campaign?
No.
Oh my gosh, that would be intense.
He didn't even cross my mind until you just said that.
I mean, yeah, it I
forgot about him.
I forgot about him too, but the thing is, if he does come back, that opens up storylines not just for Lucas but also for Henry too, because Henry's very much involved. So
is Henry gonna save someone else?
Maybe not. I don't know.
I'd love to see that.
Idea. I mean, I certainly wouldn't complain.
Yeah. This was another favorite scene in the episode. Beautifully shot, beautifully acted by Aaron. Talk at the grave with Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just have to mention the dialogue because very great, very well delivered. She says, "You are my great love, but when I lost you, something inside me broke. The thought of going through that again. I loved Lucas, but I think I was looking for something safe so I couldn't get hurt again. Because what if I broke a second time and couldn't put the pieces back together again? I couldn't risk it, especially when I have little Jack to think of. But that wasn't fair to Lucas. He deserves to have a great love. We both do."
Mm-hmm. This scene was probably my favorite of the episode. And the reason being is because a lot of the things that Elizabeth is saying in this scene are things that, you know, she has not really admitted to herself or even like considered for the last like 5 seasons.
Years.
Like ever since Jack's death. Someone kind of talked about this in one of my group chats, but I want to elaborate on it a little bit. Elizabeth, after Jack died, she immediately found out that she was going to have little Jack.
Yes.
She kind of got caught up in raising little Jack. Grieving kind of was put on hold, and then the whole love triangle happened. Grieving put on hold again. It gets stirred up with the Fort Clay thing, but it wasn't a complete processing of that grief. A complete processing of that grief would have been if she took a step back from both guys and just kind of went through it herself. But she kind of, instead of doing the work and working through that, she kind of, did a little quick conversation fix with Rosemary and then went to Lucas because she needed to make a choice. He was the safer choice. But the closer she got to the wedding, she was starting to realize that, she hadn't processed that grief with Jack. More that little Jack brought up his dad, and the more she had to talk about him, the more she realized she just wasn't ready for this. And also that she, experiencing the fear that she felt when she thought Nathan was, in trouble and could die, she realized that she's not ready to go through that pain again. So I think now that she's broken up with Lucas, she's actually going to do the work and work through that grief the hard way, but also the right way, and not just, kind of try and keep 2 steps ahead of it. She's actually going to go back and work through it and then be in a healthy place to be in a relationship someday.
Yes.
Now, one thing about this scene, I think that some people may have misunderstood, and me included. I think that a lot of people think that she's referring to Nathan when she's saying like, "Oh, I was afraid to, do this again." I don't think she's referring to Nathan at this point. I don't think she's quite there yet. I don't think she's quite realized that she has feelings for Nathan, or if she has, she's not yet ready to admit it. I think she's just in a place, in a general sense, she's not ready to lose somebody again. And before she can even think about feelings for Nathan, she has to work through this stuff with Jack first.
Yeah. That's a good point. And someone also in my group chat brought up another good observation today, I believe. And they were saying how she could also have been running from Nathan and her feelings for him because they might possibly be stronger than what she felt for Jack, and that scared her.
I
I
mean,
don't know
it
if that
could
makes
be.
sense. Yeah.
It definitely could be. I don't know that for sure. I do know that what she could potentially feel for Nathan could be as strong, if not stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that also scares her, the idea that it could lead to that, which is why I think she's never really given it a chance, never really opened herself to it, never, anytime that she feels like it's getting too, close between the two of them, she'll like shut down. And I think it's because she knows that the potential is there. But they have never explored that. And that's what's so exciting to me about the idea of them, is that they've never explored this before. We're finally going to get to see them explore it. And I am so stoked for that. I'm very excited. It's about time.
Yes. And before we talk a little bit about season 11, why don't we just talk about that last scene at the log when they were both drawn there, whether by divine intervention or Jack.
Yeah.
That has also been thrown around, that Jack led both of them there.
I mean, that's my theory. And
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to me how we have Elizabeth at the grave. She's talking to Jack. Where's the next place she ends up?
The log.
She ends up at the log. And it's like, she usually goes to significant places to process, like Jack's land, or she goes for a ride, she goes to the grave, she goes to significant places to kind of process. She goes to the log to process after talking to Jack. I don't know what that tells you, other than the fact that, I don't know, she's got Nathan on the mind, I think.
Yes, she does.
And then he shows up too, which they're both kind of drawn there. I think to me, it was more of a visual representation of what they're both experiencing, which is she's dealing with this loss of Jack. She's working through it, but she keeps, finding her way back to Nathan. And Nathan is dealing with a lot too. He's dealing with his emotions, but no matter what, they just keep finding their way back to each other. And right now it's his friends, but I think they both know, or at least they're starting to know, that there's potential for something else there.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that moment when they both see each other at the log, they both know the significance of that spot. That's why they're asking each other why they're there. And, I think them both seeing that is almost like a visual representation of the light bulb going off in both of their heads, like, oh, are we both on the same wavelength here?
Yeah.
Like, are we thinking of... I think they're definitely getting there, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that scene, beautifully shot. Wow.
Yeah.
The cinematography. Yeah. And you mentioned this at the live, how the first part of it kind of felt like a dream sequence. I can kind of agree with you there when she's just sitting at the log.
No joke. I legit thought that this was going to turn into some kind of dream sequence. When Nathan walks up, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I don't know." Like he didn't know. And I was like, that's usually something that happens in a dream, but it wasn't a dream sequence, but it definitely had that sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Bill comes riding up on his horse and interrupts with news about Lucas, which we don't know what that is yet. And then
good old Bill.
The season ends with Elizabeth and Nathan riding in sync together, might I add.
Yes. And did you notice there was a huge difference between this time and last time? they were at the log together is that last time Elizabeth got on her horse, rode away. This time Nathan and Elizabeth got on the horse, rode away together.
Yes, I
So
did.
I noticed that, and I was like, okay, because the shot of her getting on her horse was very much the same as the first time, but they both rode away together.
Yes, they did.
And it was interesting to me. I don't know if you caught this too, but a lot of the camera work was focused on Nathan in that last scene, more so than Elizabeth.
Yeah,
like
I did notice that.
We got the close up of Nathan getting on his horse, and then the close up of him riding away, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know if there's any significance to that, but it was interesting to me that there wasn't a close up of Elizabeth or even Bill.
Yes. I will say initially I was a little frustrated that we didn't get more, but then after I thought about it through the night, I came to the conclusion that this was the best way to go, considering that the breakup literally just happened 3 weeks before. So
yeah, and not only that, but I think a lot of us, myself included, and pretty much everyone, I would say, everyone overestimated how far along Nathan and Elizabeth are. Like, they are great friends. I would dare to say they're best friends, but far along in terms of where they stand with each other in terms of romantic feelings. Because Elizabeth, I think, needs to process the Jack grief first, needs to process the broken engagement first. She has a lot of conversations that need to happen with Nathan first before anything happens between them. And I think that if they were to start something in this scene together, it would have been premature.
Yeah,
it would have been premature because they still have a lot of conversations they need to have. And I think, like I said, I overestimated how far along they are. I don't think they're as far along as I thought, in that they're not ready to be together just yet. But I do think season 11 is going to show them working towards that, and then eventually will show them together. So I'm excited for the journey.
Me too. According to Erin in her interview with Deidre, we will be getting Nathan and Elizabeth next season.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Yes.
They need to explore these two. They've never done it. I think, it's a fresh take because these are two characters that have never really explored things, and they've always been there for each other. They've always had something between them. They have great chemistry. And the fact that they've never explored it means that this is a whole new avenue that is going to lead to a million different things. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Me too. And I definitely think they will be having these needed discussions next season.
Yes, I think so too. I think they purposefully made them take their time in this finale, and also throughout the season. Like, they've gotten really close as friends, but nothing more than that just yet. And the reason they've taken their time is because I think the writers are full aware that they need to have some of these really serious conversations, including talking about Fort Clay, talking about Elizabeth seeing Jack and Nathan, talking about what happened between her and Lucas. Talking about where they stand, romantically with each other, their families, how their children are going to react to this. There's a lot of conversations that need to, and I think will happen.
Yeah, I think so too. And according to Brian Bird in his interview with James Lott Jr., there is a wedding next season.
Yes. We can't say for sure if it's Nathan and Elizabeth's, but I can't think of any other.
I can't either.
Couples, because we have May and Mike, but I really don't think they're anywhere. Oh yeah, no. Although technically, Nathan and Elizabeth aren't even dating at this point.
No.
So I mean, at this point, I'm just confused because we have the only 3 couples we have left are the Canfields, the Coulters,
Coulters
and the
and the
Yosts.
Yosts.
Those are the only 3 couples.
Yeah.
Everybody else is single right now. And that tells me someone's gonna have either a really quick relationship like Florence and Ned, or maybe Nathan and Elizabeth will be able to work things out and just kind of pick up where they left off, or even just build on top of their already existing relationship.
I think that's what's going to happen. In my opinion, I think it's going to be Nathan and Elizabeth, just based on some of the other things we've seen. And Deidre was on set for a big event a couple weeks ago, I think right before HFR. And E.T. has only been on set for a big event once, and it was for Jack and Elizabeth's wedding.
Yes, that is definitely something to keep in mind.
Which makes me wonder,
I wouldn't be, I think the reason why none of us would be surprised for Nathan and Elizabeth to get married next season is specifically because they have a relationship already. It may not be a romantic relationship, but they have been building this friendship for years now. It would not be too much of a stretch to see them get married because they are so close at this point.
Yeah.
So it's not too much of a stretch for me. I'm not saying it's crazy at all, because it's definitely not. It's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yes. And I think it was Rose on our Instagram Live the other night that brought up the comment from Kevin that also makes me wonder, when he said that Jack was her first husband.
Yeah, I'm like, Elizabeth's never had a second husband, Kevin. Interesting choice of words there.
Yes, again, interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
If there is a Nathan and Elizabeth wedding, what kind of wedding would you like to see?
Low-key, I don't want it to be like Jack and Elizabeth's, and I don't think it will be, of course.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Kind of low-key. Maybe outside.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I would like it to be low-key too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of more smaller, low-key weddings myself. So even it makes more sense for them anyway, because she's, it's her second wedding. Nathan is not like, we saw how he didn't like the speech. Like, he didn't like getting up and giving a speech in front of everybody. He hates being the center of attention. And so
I definitely don't want it to be in the church that Jack built.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that would happen. Yeah.
I don't think it would either.
Yeah, which is why I think it would be outside.
Yeah.
Because we've already done one in the saloon. We've already done one in the church. We've already done every which place that it would be, and so I think it'd be interesting if they did it somewhere else, like maybe the cafe or something like that.
I was just thinking the cafe.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Or their reception in the cafe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. They could. There are a lot of places, nice places they could do it. They could even do it at the log. You never know. Yeah.
Yes, never know. I think, in my opinion, they might not even decide to court. They just might go right into a proposal.
I mean, that would be very Nathan, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because once Nathan decides to do something, it's like, just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Other than Nathan and Elizabeth, what are some of your hopes for season 11?
I mean, my main hope, apart from them getting a great love story, is I really, really need to see Fiona get her own storyline that involves possible romance. I don't even care if it involves romance. I just need Fiona to get more screen time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And Lee and Rosemary as parents, we need more of that. And of course, more of everyone. I'll just say that.
Also, can we get Abigail back, please?
Oh, yes, can we get Abigail back?
Yes.
Can't forget Abigail.
We want Abigail. So,
yes.
Yeah. We'd love that.
Yes. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Also, more on Lucas's endeavors.
Yes, and I think we will get more of that too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up season 10, and what a great and fantastic season it was.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I think Lindsay did a great job.
Yes.
And I think it was a great segue into the next season. So
it was, yeah. Well done to the entire cast and crew and writers. Brian, Lindsay, Aaron, Kevin, Chris, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all did a great job.
Yes. I think for episode 12, I would rate it 8 out of 10. What about you?
I'd say about, 8 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, Hearties. Well, I think that wraps up our review of When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 12. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share your thoughts and predictions for Season 11. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure that you turn on the bell to stay notified when I post new episodes. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and Theresa and I will see you next season. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.